Hello and welcome back to Bad Comic Review. Today we are looking at issue 2 of Total Justice. This is issue 2 of a 3-part series based around the action figure line from 1996. Now, as an action figure tie-in, as I said in the previous episode, you have to have some pretty tempered expectations. Usually these are aimed at much younger readers and not the adult collector, and most comics these days are aimed at adults. So we open up with Christopher Priest writing, Tom Morgan on pencils, Dick Girondo, I'm never going to get that, on inks, and Gasper on letterer, Gene D'Angelo colorist, and Ruben Diaz editor. Not to say the art is significantly better in here, it's still not great. I don't know why people can't draw hairstyles right. Like, Captain Atom has some sort of weird Elvis thing going, but other than that, it opens with the Justice League talking, and it's the same cast from before. I think the Ray is kicking around in there this time. And we get an introduction to Fractal Armor that Blue Beetle came up with, and it's basically the toy tack-on armor that came with the figures, and it's just an excuse to adapt to the toy line. So there's some trouble. We back on the island. Robin was falling through the sky. That was our cliffhanger. And we get some interesting dialogue from Wally talking about how, he could have done something, and he's usually really fast, but he's lost his powers. And there's actually a really great quote in here. It says, "My God, I'm actually getting bored waiting for this kid to die." And it shows Robin falling out of the sky. Robin's face looks really weird. There's some edge lines on his cheek that don't make any sense. It looked like he doesn't know how to eat his lunch. And then suddenly he turns his crappy cape into a crude airfoil. Seriously? Alright, so that's silly, granted, but if you're 12 or 13, way cooler. So Batman shows up and throws an inflatable raft to catch him, and Wally's kicking himself because he could have done something like that much faster when he had his speed power. And Kyle Rayner just figures out that that kid is actually Robin. And everybody's standing around. Aquaman shows up and he's like, "Hey, check it out. There's some caverns over here." And Green Lantern's like, "Look, I'm just some dude. I don't have a power ring, so I'm leaving." So Ted Kord shows up with the fractal armor, and Green Lantern gets in the ship and gives his armor to Robin. So, yeah, Batman decides to stay and help out. Robin's not going to leave without the hostages, and they suit up in their armor, and they do some posing. Then they go underwater. Wally complains some more. Then they take the bug. Blue Beetle, this girl from the task force, I don't remember. I think they were Justice League Task Force or something stupid like that. They were trying to hype that book for a while. And Kyle Rayner are on the bug, and surprise, guess who's in the bathroom? It's a parademon. I was right, those were parademons in the last issue. It was just poorly drawn, so they looked like some crappy minor villain. And then this weird parademon is talking about Sun Tzu for some reason. And he goes by the name of Mike. And he hits the eject button and shoots the lady whose name I don't know, and Blue Beetle out of the ejection seats, and Kyle's stuck with the parademon. And then we cut back to the guys in the cavern, and something weird's going on, but we don't quite know what. They're trying to work around the armor, and Wally starts running, and he sees himself saying, "Hey, just take off the armor. You don't need it. You can run." So he takes the armor off, and sure enough, he can run. And we cut back to Kyle Rayner for a second. And the guy the parademon just keeps saying weird stuff. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Then Aquaman, we cut back to Aquaman. He's holding this gem thing that I don't really know where he picked it up. I didn't see that. This doesn't make a whole lot of sense. And suddenly he's got his other hand back, and he sees his baby and his wife Mira. For some reason, they're in the palace. Then we get another thing with Kyle Rayner and the bug with the parademon. The parademon makes the bug explode, and Green Lantern's about to plummet to his death when he remembers they're far enough away from the island that he can use his powers. But he's got some kind of idea, doesn't say what it is. Then we cut over to Batman, and Batman is seeing Jason Todd tied to a giant Joker card, and Batman knows that something's not right because Jason's dead, and he dismantles a trap and opens a secret panel. And he knows that There's illusions now, so he's like, all right. So he warns Robin, and we cut over to Robin. He's like, got it. I'm seeing one of those illusions now. Then you flip to the last page, and standing there is who else? Darkseid. We knew Darkseid was in on it because they said that on page 1, but it's pretty predictable because who else has the parademons? All right, so overall, not a bad issue. Not great, not that memorable, honestly, but for younger readers, it's probably fine, especially if you have the old toys kicking around. I know there were 2 versions of Aquaman. Remember that? There was a gold one and a gray one. His shoulder piece was different colors. The gold one was the chase one. I don't think they're worth very much anymore, but yeah, it's not a bad read. It's very fast read, though. I don't think it's gonna go up in value anytime soon. Most of these toy tie-ins don't. Storyline's okay. Dialogue's still a little rigid. Priest isn't real great at dialogue at this point in his career. I know he's gotten much better over the years, but this, I think, was one of his earlier works in the first few years of his career. But I'm not going to fault him for that. It's okay. It's not badly written, but it's definitely aimed at a younger crowd. So be sure to remember that if you decide to pick it up. And the art is a massive step up from the first issue. But that'll do it for this one. As always, thank you so much for listening, and hopefully you'll join us on the next episode.